Well, good morning from Cord Art. We're going to attempt to make one of these. I want to go through the process of how I made this Marvin. It's quite difficult. There's a lot to it, but if we take it stage by stage, I think we can achieve it again. I've got another order for one of these, this one being sold. I think this one will probably have a slightly different pose, where he's holding a flag and pointing up to Mars. I think this one's going to be in a more relaxed style with his arms sort of coming down like so, almost with a look of disgust on the world. But enough of that. How do we go about making this? Well, as I say, stage by stage. We've got quite a few bits and pieces here. We've got lots of angel's wings, in fact 7 going around as his like skirt. So 7 angel's wings. They're stripped out paracord. His body, which is a piece of foam inside, and we've got a wrap going around there. We'll be looking at that probably as a second stage. His head, which is a monkey's fist in black. We've got zipper zennits going round for the helmet. The 2 feet are half monkey's fists, which I'll be making one of those. His flagpole, which is a snake knot. His legs, which are a snake knot. Lots of bits and pieces just to make him look a little bit more authentic. But we're going to start this video off by looking at making these angel's wings. Now we need 7 of them, and if you look at this model you can see that there's a gap between each of the 7. I want to try and close that up a little bit. On the actual cartoon itself, his skirt is more complete, if you like. So we'll have a look at that. So that means reducing the foam inside a little towards the base. But we'll come to that all in good time. His eyes are just a couple of pieces of cardboard. His hands are snake knots with wire inside. But stages for the future, again with his little broom hat, or broom helmet if you like. We'll be looking at that as well. So let's strike off with making one of these. I'm going to make 7. We'll stick him over there for the moment. Hope he doesn't fall over. Now to make that, I've made this one. So this is what we're going to make. I hope we're in shot. To make that we need 3'6" of cord. 3 feet 6 inches of cord. Now that needs to be stripped out, so we're going to take the inner out of that. I save all my inners. I've got a big bag of them. I've got a few ideas what I want to make with them at a later date. So we've got 3'6" of cord. We'll melt one end over, which will be the working end. Now, to make 7 of them, well, to make one of them, you need 3'6" of cord, but in fact, the only cord in there is 1'6". I've measured it out. So each time you make one of these, you're going to lose 2 foot of cord. It's going to be waste. And I thought, well, how can we get round that? Now, having in mind we need 7 1'6". If you times 1'6" by 7, which is what, 7 feet and 3.5, that's 10.5 feet. So if you cut a piece 10.5 feet plus 2 feet, so it's 12.5 feet. If you cut 12.5 feet of cord and strip the innards out, you'll have enough to make 7 of these without all the losses. As you can see, it took me a little while to actually come to that decision, because I've got 2 of my first ones with the wastage, but I think I can use that again on the project a little bit later. But yeah, use 12.5 feet, strip it out, and then start to do what I'm doing. Melt one end over as a working end. Now this end, the open end, we need a 4-inch piece of wire. We're just going to bend the end over there so it's not sharp. Get that into a nice little U at the end. Slot that into the open end, just a little bit past, and melt that over. Now we have the wire, 4-inch piece of wire inside of there. Now what we're going to do here is that the end with the wire there, we're going to bend that down at a right angle. Now all we've done that for is to stop the loops coming off of here. We're going to do an angel's wings with 5 bites. So it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bites on it. As I say, this is gutted. Now one other stage before I like to do before we start, the end with the bent over piece of wire, if I find a pin, which is just there, I like to stick a pin just on there, like so. Now that acts the same as this hook. It stops the loops coming off. So we bring it round to a D shape like so. Just the cord round like that, a D shape. Going to go underneath and up through, making sure that everything is as flat as we can make it. Again, underneath and through, and up, underneath and through, so now we have 3 bites, 1, 2, 3, do a 4th, I think this is grass green or something like that. I've just had to order some more. I haven't quite got enough for this project, so I've just had to order some more, but I've done it by colour rather than name. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one, as you can see, there's only a small bit left with 3'6" of cord, but when it's tightened it up, as I say, there's 2 foot of wastage. So that's why I've gone to saying if you start off with 12'6", all what will happen is that this end will go along there. You'll just feed the rest of the cord through this, like so. So now we have 5 bites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pin at the end, bent over there, yeah? Now we're going to draw them together towards the pin. We're not going to force them, we're just going to draw them together. We're then going to bend this down again, just to stop them coming off. We can bend that back down there like so. Yeah. So we've got pin there, bent over piece of wire there, making sure that the wire stays in those 5 there, like so. We're then going to tighten up that first one. So it's come through there and we're tightening up this way, yeah. Bring it up. Now we've got to watch out for twist all the way through this. If it gets twisted, then it doesn't look very nice. We'll come across, giving it a good bit of a tug there. It's going to go down past that pin, like so, then and back up through this one. Now I can see that it's starting to twist slightly. I don't want it to twist, so I've got to pay attention to actually getting the cord going straight through the knot. Once we've done that, avoiding the pin, I want to pull quite tight on that knot. I can do that because there's wire in there. We'll come back over again, making sure there's no twist there. And back down to the second one in. Give that a bit of a pull as well, not too much, or else it'll go out of shape. The second one from the right hand side is now going to travel up through to this one. Again, on that wire we can give it a good old tug. Come across the knot, making sure there's no twist, and we're going to go back down to the second position, which would have been on the left. Now that's twisting. I don't want that to twist. Come down to the second one, like so. Make sure you've not left any slack behind, but don't go over forcing it. Back up to the sword towards the centre. Again, that's twisting. Nice and tight on the wire. We've got a twist there. So I'm going to backtrack slightly. I'm going to come back up through there. Make sure it's square on this side. And pull it through square. You'll notice that the top one fell out then. It needs to stay in there. I like to bring it down to the base, the centre one. It's because this loop there just has to be the right tension. So now we're going to come back down to the wire. Bring that top one back up there. And we're going to pull that through, nice and tight on the wire. So there we go. That's the first passing. It's not far off the size, but it's not quite there yet. Got to make it slightly smaller. So we'll go through it again. Nothing drastic. So we'll just push it in a little bit towards that pin, like so. Give ourselves another bend. Bend that down like that. Now, I like snip nose pliers because my fingers are so big. I tend to pull that through again, but not overdo it. And then just there, where I've got this loop, I know it's going to come around the wire and back up to that one. So we're going to give that one nice tighten there. Now this is where we need to start shaping it. We want it as a triangle. At the moment it's a bit bulbous, and this is where we control the straight edges. So we'll come across the knot and we'll try and line these up at an angle with the tension that we're putting on there. We come back down past that pin again. Mind your fingers on that one. Again, we're tensioning it to get the bend out, if you like, and the sharpness there. You won't get it all out, but it looks a bit better. If we can get the tension just about right. Now I'm going to come back up here, and again make sure that the wire is in there, which I think it is, and pull down nice and tight. We can then take that pin out. Won't be needing that now, it's done its job. So we're going to come across again, pulling in to try and make that look like a triangle. Not too much, or else it'll go out of shape. And we're going down to the second one. I've got a feeling that this might twist. Not quite sure yet. Might get away with it. Yeah, I think we'll get away with it. Again, we're trying to pull it so that it's got a straight edge. When you're making 7, they don't all turn out perfect, but it's looking at them all together overcomes any small minor problems. It's a visual thing. Nice and tight on the wire. Bring that one across. Trying to keep our straight edges down here. This one's a bit bumpy. I'm not too worried about it. That's working okay. I've been pretty lucky with this one. There's not many twists, not a lot of twists in there. In some that I've made, it is a problem. So that's the second one in there. Pull it down tight. Bring this one back down again out the way, and we're set up for doing more or less the second to last pass. Quite fortunate today, being retired. This is a day when the kids go to school, so there's not a lot of background noise outside. It's a good time to actually do a video. And the last one, nice and tight again. Right, just square it up a little bit. You can see there's the 2-foot piece of waste. If you make the, I know I'm repeating myself, but if you make the overall piece 12.5 feet, you should get 7 out of that 12.5 feet, and you'll only have the 2 feet wastage for all 7. Right, to finish that one off, just snip above and heat. Make it stick onto that top loop there. This one's a little bit more tricky. Now we've got wire in there. We don't want to use our scissors for cutting that. So we'll come off of the triangle slightly, cut through with our wire cutters, like so. Now we've got wires in that last little portion, so if we can get our cutters and push it down, not quite getting it, that's it. So I've cut it down now, and I've just got cord there. And there we go, we've got the completed part of his skirt, and that was the 7th one I've made. So we'll just get the others out. 4, 5, 6 and 7. So that's the first part of this project. We're just going to store those over there until we've made the body. The next part of this will be delving into how we make the body. So I'll see you then shortly. Well, welcome back. Let's go on to stage 2. Now this is the body. It's only a total of 2 inches in length. It's 1 inch in diameter. That's the foam inside, i.e. I've cut it out of a piece of a ball or an egg shape. As I say, this is 2.5 inches long, so we're going to have to trim that. I have marked up one of these balls, and the way I've done that, because obviously I'm going to cut it down to a cylinder, I've marked the top, and just with a flexible tape marked around half an inch either side of that dot. Made a dot, turned it round, made a dot, and then I've joined up to make 1 inch in diameter. Done the same on the base. You know, as I say, this is 2.5 inch egg, and we're going to end up with 2 inches. So from that line to that line is just about 2 inches. I have made some other lines across there. I've gone from the top of that arc to the top of that arc, round with my tape again, and just drawn a line so I know where I'm going to start slicing with a Stanley knife down through, and I'm going to cut that to how I want it, and I'll come back to you. I don't want you to see me cut one of my fingers off. Well, hi there. You can see that I've managed to slice all these bits off of that egg, and you've just found me just rounding his shoulders over. Now, none of this has to be too exact, but there you see, that's 1 inch, 2 inches, just rounded his shoulders over a little bit. This is all wastage. I have to make sure I don't drop it on the floor, or else my wife will be a bit upset, but that's what we're going to work with. Now, I've taken to putting masking tape over this, well, in America styrofoam, and obviously foam in England. Now the reason I've done that is we're going to wrap that in 2mm red cord. It does cut into it, so having in mind I've learned a lesson of that, I tend to fortify the actual piece up with a few bits of masking tape. So as I say, it doesn't have to be exact. You can see that that's no way we're really round, but it does come good in the end. So I just cover that completely in tape. Doesn't have to be too neat. And of course, with the tape on it, I can glue to it with super glue, which I wouldn't be able to if it was just there. But that's all I'm going to do with that, is put a couple of layers of tape around, making sure that I've covered everything. Give it a bit of a squash down. I think I've covered it all. So that's our former. As I say, 2 inches, inch, beveled at the top. I did take it down just a little bit more around the edge for this, what I mentioned of the skirt, but I'm not too fussed about that. So we're now going to cover that body with a vertical hitching. Sorry, I'll say again, it's called a vertical rib hitching, and I learned how to do this off of YouTube. A guy called Johnny Depp does a good tutorial on it. He doesn't quite do it the same as me, but I'll show you how I do it. So what we need for that is 10 feet of 2mm red cord. Now this isn't a quick process. If you look at the original, it really looks quite neat. Looks as though it's been knitted. So that's what we're going to try and do. I'm going to start this off with you, show you how I do it, and then I'll come back just as I'm finishing it off, because it does take quite a while to do. What you'll need for this is 10 feet of 2mm cord. Now I haven't gutted this, could do if you wanted to. And I've got a small fid on the end of it. Hopefully it'll stay on there. So turning back to the end and to the top of the object, we're going to go around once and leave a little bit over. Where they cross, I want to put a pin. In like so. I'm also going to fortify it with a few more pins so it doesn't come to bits. So we're going to have probably 4 pins at the top, if I can keep hold of them. So we go opposite to that crossover point, put a pin in there. One there. Now these will get in the way, so I'll be taking them out and putting them back in again as we go along. I think I need to come up a little bit. Yeah, I need to come up a little bit. So let's bring that up to the edge, pin that. Bringing it up to the top a bit. Just checking to see that you're online still. Right, so you can see that's down too far. Let's bring it back up. And about there, I would say. Pin in there, and one more. Well, I've got 3 in there, but which will probably suffice. But we'll put a 4th in, like so. Making sure the pin doesn't come out the other side and stick in you. So we've done that. Now what we're going to do is go over and under. Now, as each time we go, let me just get things into proportion and I'll show you. So we're going to go over the top of that one and down underneath. But we're going to come on top of there. So we're actually making a knot around that top one. Like so. So there's a half hitch round there. I'm going to do another. Get a lot of twist in this. Have to keep twisting it all out, obviously going the right way. There we go. There's the second one. Now I'm going to go around the top, and then I'll show you what happens when we've gone round and come back to here. Well, here we are, back to the end of going round that way. I managed to get 12 stitches, comes over that one, in on that line. You can see that I've pulled the tail up underneath, because we're going to be actually tightening that up at a later date. So just make sure where I am. We're just doing the last of those 12. Twist out of that one, and that will come down nice and neatly just in there. So we've basically got 12 half hitches all the way around the top, just being held by pins. I think I'll put that pin where I originally had it, just there. Then they're equidistant. Right, so what we've got to do next is, you'll see that come a bit closer. Yeah, I want to be in shot. You can see that all the crosses, there's a cross there, a cross there. The first cross that we're going to come to is that one there. Now it's that tail end coming up just there. That one there. Just pulled it down a little bit, it goes up through, it's the double bit there. So what we're going to do there is we need to get, I'm on lines, aren't I? Yeah. In there and out of there. And that is the knot. We go in there, out of there. Then we come round in there, out of there. Let me see if I can do that. In. Keeping it all above, don't go underneath or anything like that. Watching for twist as usual. Right, so now we're going to be laying, don't worry about the gap up here, as I say, this one will pull shortly, but you can see that what we're going to try and do is keep all these stitches going down like so. So there's the next one, in there, and we can manage it. Eyes are going funny. That's it. In there, out of there. And then that one goes down like so. I think I'll restrain that a little bit, but it does give us a bit of leeway when that pulls through each time. It does give us a bit of leeway at this beginning point, but we'll make sure he's secured down like so. Try to keep it neat. And we're going to go underneath the next one and back up through here. Twist in that one. But there's no need to force this, it's just a matter of keeping it lined up. You can see that we're starting to get, I'll do one more with you and then I'll push on and carry on down, dipping in as I go. Right, so the fit in this gap here, and then the other side of this crossover is going to come out. Like so. I find this quite therapeutic actually. It's you achieve something quite quickly. So there we go. It's like knitting downwards. I'm going to switch off there, do a few rows, or complete it and come back to you. Hope that was all on shot. Just dip in here briefly before I go on to finish. So we're just carrying on round through. There's the crossover point there, into there. Not easy. Back out through. Twist is a major problem here at the moment, but then we're going to pull it, not too hard, and then down. Make sure there's no twist in the cord. Next one. This one looks a bit dodgy, but in and back out again. Pull over and down. I'll carry on round to the base now, but it's just a matter of going into all the crossovers. Don't do it too tight. You can see that that one is quite tight. I'll have a bit difficulty there. These are slacker, so they're going quite nicely. Travelling down that 2-inch form. Yeah, okay. Well, here we are with the finished body. You can see that I've tightened up once I've taken the pins out, tightened up and cinched that over there. Want to leave the area there obviously for the neck to go down, and there's some messing about down through this hole when we put the arms on. Likewise with the base. Legs have got to go up through there, so we don't want to be covering that over. Right, so that's going to be basically the first part of this tutorial. This is going to be sort of like tutorial 1. It's going to go on to at least another one and perhaps 3. In the next one I'll be making the head and the feet, which are monkey's fists. So until then, cheers and thanks for looking at cord art, but number 2 will be up shortly.